Hey Manu, here's the video of my fishing trip. This is me heading out to my first spot, and we'll see you when I get there. This lake, I gotta carry all my stuff in, Manu. The lake's closed. Hardly anybody can fish it because you gotta carry your boat, you gotta carry all your gear. Pretty long ways. It's a lot of work, but this lake has good fishing, so it's worth it, buddy. So this is my first spot. This bridge is pretty deep here. It goes down to about 20 feet deep. It's got a lot of bait, a lot of crappie, a lot of white bass, and then there's some real big bass that hang out here and eat all those fish. This here I caught a white bass. Or I missed a white bass. Then I threw back in there and I let it sink down. I'm throwing an Alabama rig. Sometimes it's called an umbrella rig. It's got 5 baits on it, and the pros, they're not allowed using it because it's got 5 different hooks, and it's just such a good bait, they don't let them use it. But for fun fishing, it's really good. On this bridge last week, I caught an 8-pounder, and I know last year around this time another fisherman caught an 11-pounder off this bridge. So it pays to check this spot. Today I didn't catch anything off of it besides this white bass.
This is a white bass.
But this lake has pretty, this is a smaller white bass, but it's got some big white bass. So I go check my next spot. This is my next spot. There's a little rock pile in front of this bridge. This is a railroad bridge at the other end of the lake. And I'm throwing a lipless crankbait. And this is my first largemouth of the trip. And just a little one to get started. And but after this, so I fished that first bridge, for probably 15 minutes. Then it takes me about 10 minutes to get down to this end, 10-15 minutes. Now, last time I was out here, all the bass were shallow in like the grass along the edge lines. And I go spend, I catch a couple ones here at this bridge. And then I start working around I go through this bridge and like into this cove. And check all the spots they have been, and because I caught like a big 7-pounder last trip, in there, and they just weren't where they were. It's the grass in there is dying off for the winter, and when that happens, Manu, in the fall when the grass dies, the bass will go to the closest hard cover they can find. So stumps or rocks, that's what they do. You see that green shoreline in front of me, that's where the bass have been. And as that grass is dying off, they're moving out to these stumps. And I didn't know if they'd be doing that. Ooh, that one just quick release. They move out here, and look at this one. This one's loinless. Loinless, Manu. You got a little hook in my shirt there, though. But I was catching some little ones, but they weren't big ones. So I spent like 3 hours working the shoreline cover trying to find a big one, and then I gave up on this. This is 3 hours later. You can see the cloud cover. This one, I saw a big, like 4-pound bass try to eat my jig right as I was bringing out of the water. And I go forward a little bit, and then I cast back to where he was. And I don't think this is the same fish. I'm going to catch a bass here. I'm going to cast back in there. And I think it was a little school of fish, because this one doesn't seem as big as the one that tried to eat my jig the first time. I love catching them on a jig, Manu. You know, it's one of my favorite things is to use that jig. So that was a fun little catch. So here, I start using I've been catching some on that lipless. I go back to the lipless here, and nice little bass. He ate that whole thing. He wanted that one, So, now I'm getting back up to this railroad bridge, and they really weren't. I caught a couple in front of the railroad bridge, but they were really on the inside. The inside of the railroad bridge, right in this area. There were a bunch of fish, and then they were in the stumps behind me, and I just kind of kept doing circles for 3 or 4 hours, catching bass, and caught a few good, I caught a lot of, that one ate it really good too. Caught a lot of 2-pound bass, not too big. Caught a few real little loinless ones, and then I caught probably 4 or 5. Pretty good size, around 4 up to 5 pounders. So my best 5 probably went between 20, 22 pounds. I would say I didn't weigh any fish today. I normally don't weigh them unless they're real big, 7, 8 plus pounds. This I was fishing. There's a little rocky point that comes off the corners of these dams. Every bridge like this, the corners are like little rocky points, and they're really good. They hold a lot of fish, And that's a better one. That's not a bad fish. I think that's my biggest one of the day so far. Pretty good one. You can see I have on my graph there, Manu, I keep looking at my graph because I have a screen where I can see the fish swimming down there, called Live Scope. You'll see the pros use it sometimes, loinless. That helped me out a lot today. I could see where they were. Some of these fish were kind of mid-column. They were in between the top and the bottom. Most of these fish today were on the bottom. I was kind of hopping my rattle trap up off the bottom, and I'd let it hit the bottom again, pop it up, fishing it real slow. Oh, that's a nicer fish. Not a bad fish there at all. I'm looking for my pliers. This rattle traps, they've got 2 treble hooks, and so handling fish with all those hooks, can kind of be tough sometimes. Let's see. This is back, there's a little creek channel back here with some stumps on it, and I'm bringing the rattle trap through it. And I'm reeling pretty fast, This one, oh, that was a good hit. Oh, I think he's fighting me pretty good. He's coming in. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that's a nice fish. Ooh, that looks good. Uh-oh, Manu. What do we got here? Uh-oh. What do we got here, Manu? got? Uh-oh. Loins. Loins, Manu. We've got loins. The green loin. That's a good one. Old Rutster would be pleased with that one. Nice big old bass. There's a pretty one. Woohoo. Nice good old one. Five pounder. I'm happy with that one, Manu. I'll take that. I'll take that any day of the week. Let's see what we got. Anna's coming over. I'm doing a voice recording for Manu, so when he watches it, I'm telling him how my day went. Oh, look at that one, loinless. Yeah. That was not a big one, Manu. It takes a lot, it takes some work, Manu, to kind of... These stumps are so hard. They are rock hard. They're like petrified wood. And this lake was made, I want to say like 30 years ago. So these stumps are like petrified. So they're not rotting, and they're hard like stone, and it takes a lot of work to navigate around them and not bang up your boat too bad. Back here in this area, like this water is about 4 feet deep. No, I'm just getting my snack. So it's not too deep in here. Let's see. I think I remember this one. I think I make a cast up here. I think there's two stumps right next to each other, and I cast past them, and I'm bringing it past these two big stumps, and a good old bass was using those stumps to ambush prey, and he just hit it good. He didn't go 20. Hopped right in my boat. That's a nice chunky little bass. And then this is really cool here, Manu. This was a fun little flurry around these stumps. I catch this one, and then anytime you catch a bass, Manu, sometimes they're by themselves, but it always pays to cast right back where you caught them, because a lot of times bass like to travel in groups, especially in the fall. They like to hunt in little packs. And so I cast back in there and brought it past that stump again. Let's see what happens. Boom. Another one. This one's a good one. This one's got some loins. Yeah. He's fighting hard. Oh, man. I gotta get down on one knee for this one. I don't think he's hooked very good. That's a good fish. That's the kind we're looking for, Manu. Trying not to get hooked. Woohoo! Praise the Lord. Look at that one. That's a little better. Nice fish. Man, good fish. Very good. Send him back. Alright. Then, watch this. I don't know if I catch one on this cast. But I went right back to those stumps. I tried it again. Like, hey, there's been 2 on it. Maybe there'll be 3. But I know this is a good area, so I kind of stay here for a bit. There's been 2 bass around, and I caught some bass in this area earlier when I came through. So I know there's bass in this area. So I'm just taking my time, making a lot of casts all around me, seeing if I can't connect with more of them. I'll flip off this direction to the same little area, and I think I catch one here. Yep. A little loinless one, but still another one to the day's total. Yeah, that's 3 bass there in less than a minute. Let's see what we got going on here. Reeling in. There we go, we're hooked up. That one's pulling pretty hard. I don't think this one was that big. I remember thinking it was, yeah, like it's a decent fish, but I remember thinking it was going to be bigger because it just pulled so hard. But that's a good fish. That's a good bass. Hooked into another one. Back to the bridge. There's so many fish around this bridge. I just keep fishing in circles. You know, just letting them have a little break and come back, and I'd catch a few more. This one, I don't know. It might have been this one. You might have to go check. I didn't see it. But one of these, yeah, I think it was that one. I had some orange pliers on the floor of my boat, and he was hopping around, and with his tail, he flopped them out into the lake. So I lost my little split ring pliers, but they're only like $5. Here comes one, fighting his way in. Another solid little bass. This, the middle of the bridge, you know, you can see the two that has like the double pilings. That's where the creek goes flowing out. And so on my side, you know, it's not quite as deep. It's probably like 5 or 6 feet deep where I am. And on the other side, it goes down to that creek channel down to like 8 feet deep. And they were on that little ledge, you know. And then some of them were down in the deeper water on the bottom. Yeah, and if they got up on that ledge, they tend, you know, especially if there was more than one of them together, if I could see 2 or 3 together, then they would normally really bite. You know, I think they get kind of competitive about which one's going to catch the little fish swimming by. Boom, yeah, right there, back to back. You know, there was a little group of them there, and got to take advantage of those opportunities when you hit it, get the timing right. That one's doesn't have much meat on him. I'm looking at, yep, there's one. I saw that one on my graph. Saw him eat that one. Oh, he's fighting harder. He didn't look that big on my graph, you know, but he ended up being a really, you know, having some serious loins to him. Old green loins, Manu. Boy, he's a good one. Trying not to get hooks in my hand. Look at that. Chunky one. It's all over but the grilling, Manu. I saw that one. There's a couple of them there. I didn't think they were that nice big. Bass. Back she goes. Released into the grease. This was a jig bite. This was a pretty good fish. Yeah, I don't know how she came off. You know, I had a good hook set. She had her coming towards me, and she just pulled the hook. You know, don't know. You know, it happens sometimes. But it was a good fish. But wish, you know, at least I gotta get a jig hook set. I like that hook set with the jigs. Just at it again. There's just so many bass around here. Let's see what we got. Little bass. You see that whole stump field behind me. That's where more of the fish are. I go back in that stump field and I come back up to the bridge, and I just kept going back and forth for about 4 hours. there was some, there a lot of medium and smaller bass with a few bigger ones mixed in. The moon phases aren't right for the real big bass to be eaten. I think there's some real big ones in here, but they just didn't show up today. And I didn't fish, normally I catch more of those when I fish bigger baits, but I didn't have enough confidence that there were big ones looking to eat in here to throw that bigger bait a bunch. They were hitting the lipless so good. There's another good, nice medium-sized bass. Just fun to catch. Yeah, it was just fun to catch fish. Get my pliers. It's part of fishing these treble hook baits. You gotta have pliers, those hooks. All those hooks. You got 6 hooks on this lure. Yep. This one's fighting hard. It's fun to catch these big ones.
Ooh. Look at that one.
My boat, Manu. Uncle Luke gave that to me. I think about 4 years ago now. 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago. And it's great. I've had to do some repairs on it and fill it with foam. It's been leaky. It still takes on some water, but it's a great little boat. It's unsinkable. I got my trolling motor on the front. I got a little motor on the back. Gets me around, and it's really stable. I caught a lot of fish out of this little green machine. I think this next one is the last one of the trip. It was getting close to my quitting time, and I wanted to catch one more. And I saw this one on my live scope. I was fishing my rattle trap past it real slow and steady, hopping it. And it turned out to be a real good one. Turned out to have some loins. It was a great one to end on. I could have kept going around. I could have kept going until dark, Manu. They were just biting. I could have kept catching them. Could have caught 20 more. But it was time to go home, and I was a happy camper. And hopefully, look at that. That bait was gone all the way down his throat. And hopefully, I'm gonna start making videos of my fishing trips, and you can watch them and tell me what I need to do to catch bigger fish. All right, talk to you later, Manu.